All right. Welcome, everyone, to Balanced Holiday Eating. Thank you for joining us for one of our Brain Northwest programs here. We're really grateful to have you, and we're very thankful to have Jessica Shirley here today. She has an extensive background in the realm of food, nutrition, health coaching. She's a certified health education specialist. She's also a registered yoga instructor and as a master's in science. So she is just a lifelong learner, and I'm thankful for all the collecting of knowledge and experience that you have, Jessica, and that you're sharing it with us today. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to learning along with everyone else. Go
Thank
for
you
it.
so much. Thank you for the introduction, Reggie. Well, welcome, Holly and Mark. I'm so glad you're here with us today. Welcome to Balanced Holiday Eating, a tips to enjoy the season without the slump. And we're just going to jump right into it. And, like Reggie said, this is just a cozy little class. You can stop me at any point in time if you have questions or you want me to elaborate on anything. I always like to start this kind of a class with a quote. Let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. Hippocrates. That is probably the most truthful food associated quote I could find. Food is medicine, it is healing, it is whole, it is the thing that sustains us from the micronutrients to the nutrients to everything, the minerals, the vitamins. We must have this for every cellular function in our body, and it's really important. And the holidays are a time when we have full of food and it can be confusing and hard. And then there's also SNAP benefits getting cut, and we need to just really focus in on the benefits and how we can continue to create this space for ourselves to give ourselves the proper nutrition. So I wanted to do a review of a few things just to kind of remind everybody we can all have this kind of a review at times. What are the benefits of eating well? We're going to go over some general benefits and then some brain specific benefits. So general benefits of eating well include lowering your risk of chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and cancer. It helps maintain a healthy weight, which kind of ties back into the first bullet point. Maintaining a healthy weight reduces those risks of chronic diseases. It improves heart health, cardiovascular health, circulation. It strengthens the immune system and supports recovery. Great to keep up the immune system health in this time of year as we go into flu season and COVID season. Although I think COVID season's all the time now. We're going to enhance our energy levels and just average daily functioning. And it's also going to support your gut health and digestion and improving overall wellness. Your gut is really your second brain. They in utero are completely one linked organism, and then they separate. They're connected by our vagus nerve. So keeping the gut healthy is also going to help keep our brain healthy. Specific brain health benefits. Eating well is going to help improve memory, focus, and learning. It can promote neurogenesis and brain plasticity, growth of new brain cells, even. Reduce inflammation and oxidative stress in the brain. Supports healthy blood flow and oxygen delivery to brain tissue. And it improves mood regulation, resilience to stress, and emotional balance. How many of y'all ever get hangry? You've heard the term hangry. When your blood sugar gets low, when you haven't had something to eat, sometimes our moods definitely fluctuate. So maintaining that blood sugar balance and it was going to help resilience to stress. So I always like to review the five main food groups as we talk about portion balance. So the five main food groups, number one is fruits and veggies, and that's number one for a reason because it is the number one group that needs to be consumed more than any other group. Then we're going to have our carbohydrate group, which is bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, and other starchy carbohydrates, including corn. Corn is not a vegetable. I know sometimes people like to put that on the holiday table. Oh, God, I brought some veggies. No, corn's not a vegetable. I mean, I know in theory it is, but it's considered a starch. We're going to have our proteins, meat, fish, eggs, beans, and other proteins. And don't forget your nuts. Nuts are a great source of protein that you can also include here. Some schools of thought try to put the nuts in the oil category and fat category. And yes, they have healthy fats and they do have good fats, but there's a lot of high protein and fiber in them as well. We have our dairy group. And some people are just not tolerant of dairy, or maybe you're vegan. Yep, same. I cannot. So the dairy group is not as important as the rest, but what you can do is you can have wonderful dairy substitutes. I use oat milk a lot. My sour cream is made from cashew milk and coconut milk, and they really taste lovely. I have no problem switching over to them. So if dairy is not a thing for you, there are definitely alternatives. And then you're going to have your fat group, your oils, your spreads, your avocados, and things like that. So now that we've gone over a refresher on our food groups, let's talk about how to balance our plates and keep them proportioned so that we're eating well, we're getting all the macronutrients, the micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals. So what makes a meal balanced? So I have a visual on the next slide, but it's going to be half your plate is going to be filled with fruits and veggies. More veggies than fruits, because fruits are sugar, even though they're natural, but they're very healthy. They're great for hydration. We want to include them. But half your plate is fruits and vegetables with a little bit more veggies. The other side of your plate is going to be broken up into halves. A quarter, you're going to have your protein, and then the other quarter, you're going to have your carbohydrates or your grains. And then you're going to add in healthy fats where you can, such as avocado, olive oil, and ghee. I love ghee. Butter is considered an unhealthy fat, but in moderation, it's really not. It's not processed, it's natural. Your body knows what to do with it. Ghee is clarified butter, meaning that all the moisture is taken out and only the oil is left. So if you cannot tolerate butter, ghee might be a great option for you as well. And it has a really high heat tolerance so that you can cook and pan fry and things. I mean, I wouldn't, it's too expensive to fill up and fry, but if you're pan frying a little something with it, you just need a little bit of oil, ghee is great. And just be aware it has an extra strong buttery flavor because it's clarified, so you don't need much, which is a bonus. Okay, so now we have a visual, and this is what our plate should look like. And then we're going to use our hands to kind of use as a measuring, because no one's going to bring measuring cups to the restaurant or to the family dinner. So if you're not sure and you're trying to keep your portions in control, use your palm for your protein. Okay, and everybody's hands is in proportionate with their body. So a larger person, a taller person is going to have bigger hands, and that's going to be the portion that they need. So use your palm. So your palm is your protein, your meat, or if you are vegan or vegetarian, this could be your tofu or your why am I blanking on the name of the Indian cheese that they use a lot for protein right now? The
Paneer.
paneer. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, paneer. So whatever your your protein is going to be, we're going to use the palm of your hand. For your carbohydrates, we're going to use your fist. Okay, so right about that much. Go ahead and cut it off at the wrist. We're going to use about your fist for your carbohydrates. For your fats, you can use up to a thumb. So like if you have a smidgen of butter or some ghee or a nice big slice of avocado, that's what you're going to use your thumb for your fats. Okay. And then, like I told you, those veggies are everything. We're going to put both fists together, and that's our veggies. So this is what our plate should look like. If you look on the left, you see how half is fruits and veggies, but there's slightly more veggies than there is fruit, isn't there? And then if you look on the right, those are split pretty equally between carbohydrates and proteins. And as I said before, you don't see dairy here because the thing is that you can get a lot, dairy can be important for a lot of people, but at the same time, you can get from dairy alternatives the vitamins and minerals and fats that you need. And then you can also, there's a myth that you can only get calcium from milk. There's calcium in foods like spinach and salmon and some of these nuts that I've mentioned. There's tons of ways to get the nutrients. I'm not knocking dairy. It's officially a food group, but if you can't consume dairy, there are ways around it. And you don't have to include it with every meal as long as you're getting lots of vegetables and fruits, healthy carbohydrates, and healthy proteins. Okay, so now we're going to start digging into the holiday stuff. What are some ways that we can make those happy plates, but keep them healthy and keep them colorful? We don't want brown plates. Okay, we want color. We want the rainbow. We want to eat the rainbow. That's our goal. So for beverages, I know we're usually bombarded with all the sugary drinks and the eggnogs and all the alcohol drinks. Those are really high calorie. And I'm going to make a little side note here. So 1 gram of a protein or 1 gram of a carbohydrate has 4 calories. Okay. Calorie is a unit of measurement, right? It's just a unit of energy. So we have to have calories or energy to live. And, that's typical is 2,000 a day, but that varies depending on your body size and all that. 1 gram of carbohydrates or proteins has 4 calories. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. There's more energy in a fat. That's why we don't eat as much fat, because if we eat too much, then energy balance in our body can be off. 1 gram of alcohol has 7 calories. So alcohol is almost as caloric as fat. So we really want to try to avoid well, besides the calories, there's other negative benefits of alcohol. And I'm not shaming, I'm not saying don't partake. We want to keep those to a minimum and realize how caloric, even if you're drinking just a little bit of clear something with soda and fruit and that's all, it's still very caloric. So you can swap creamy eggnog for a nice spiced oat milk chai. And you can even get some, like, I don't know if you have like a froth or anything, you can even froth oat milk and make it nice and holiday filled, still get that taste in your tongue. And then there's plenty of mocktails. Mocktails are really popular these days. I've included a few recipes, which are basically just sparkling water with herbs, citrus, any kind of fruit, different things that you can include. And then of course, don't knock water. Drink your water, stay hydrated. You're going to hear that a lot throughout today. For desserts, fruit-based sweeteners, you can use jams and jellies instead of sugar. You can substitute maple syrup is better than just straight up processed sugar. And I would absolutely recommend avoiding artificial sweeteners. If there's diabetic that you have to accommodate for, that's different. I do recommend stevia if you have to have a sugar-free, at least it's a leaf that's natural. It's not produced in a lab. So the body can process that out a little bit better. So you can use nuts for texture instead of like you might see some crumbled peppermints, or you might see all these different things on top. Texture is nice in a dessert. You can use nuts. You can chop them up, crumble them up with rolled oats and just a little brown sugar or maple syrup and toast it. And some nice little crumbly topping you can use in yogurt parfaits instead of with cinnamon instead of pie. So there's some different ways that you can do the desserts instead of traditional icing and all the whipped creams and all the things. For side dishes, use olive oil instead of butter when you can, just because there seems, like I said, a little bit of butter is fine, but excessive is not. Try ghee. Roast veggies instead of casseroles. I've got a nice little recipe for that. And then add herbs for flavor and depth. I am from Louisiana and we love our seasoning. I love, I know Tony Chachere's is a popular one. I prefer Slap Your Mama. It's a Cajun seasoning. Things like this really add flavor. You cannot go wrong with salt, pepper, and garlic powder and olive oil on most veggies and a sheet pan. So try some of these other just simple things, swaps, and they're going to really add a little bit of health to your plate. And the beverages, desserts, and side dishes tend to be the biggest culprits, so that's kind of why I honed in on them. When you're doing your proteins, I find most of the proteins are baked for the holidays. So except for in Louisiana, we fry our turkeys. But hey, I moved to Oregon, so now I don't think I'll be finding too many fried turkeys up here. I could be wrong. And they are tasty, but So yeah, so work on your beverages, desserts, and side dishes is the most important thing to focus on in the holidays. Hydration strategies. So maintaining hydration is really important to keep you grounded and to keep you focused and ready to take on the holiday season. So we're going to start the day with water before coffee. Another thing I like to do is have a warm cup of water with a little squeeze of lemon. And that helps clean out the digestive system and just get your body set for the day. And coffee is also a diuretic. It's going to make you go to the bathroom a little bit more, and you want to make sure you keep that water in your body. Drink a glass of water before a meal. Get your body like not full, but stabilize that hunger in your belly before you start eating. It's to kind of keep you from overeating. Keep alcohol-based and sugary drink consumption to a minimum. Try substituting them with sparkling water and citrus. I actually, what I'll typically do is take a big pitcher ice water and I'll cut up lime, lemon, and orange. And for some reason, just doing all the citrus, people love it. It's pretty and it's just extra tasty. um, Add hydration-rich foods. So fruit, any melon, any fruit, but mostly like melons, you can have a lot of your water consumption included if you're eating fruits and you're getting fiber from that as well. And broth-based soups. So maybe if you're doing a potluck, ask somebody to bring one of the things as a broth-based soup. Maybe you're even having like a little appetizer with a little yummy broth-based soup. And then another little tip is to dilute fruit juices with coconut water. Coconut water is extremely hydrating with its mineral and content and electrolytes is the word I was looking for. So add coconut water to things when you can. Got to stay hydrated. And then if you've been to any of my other classes, being a yoga teacher, mindfulness needs to be brought into everything, including eating. So we want to practice mindful eating. You're going to start meals with a pause. Take a moment, just notice the color, the aroma, the texture, and take time for gratitude. Eat without multitasking. Step away from screens. That is one of the worst, even if it's the football game. I know no one wants to hear that. You can turn it off just while you eat and visit, and friends and family and food are the most important about the holidays, right? And no phone scrolling. So step away from screens and try not to multitask and focus on the food and the friends and the family. Use the 80% full rule. Stop eating when you're satisfied, not when you're really stuffed. We used to call it the itis back in my day. We don't want the itis. We want an 80% rule. Don't feel stuffed. And then after about 10, 20 minutes of feeling 80% full, you're going to feel really satisfied. Fill half your plate with veggies and drink lots of water. You're going to hear that over and over and over again. Those are the two main points to focus on, if nothing else, if you remember nothing else. Digestive support. So digestive issues are a thing, acid reflux, all the things can definitely mess up your system. Foods maybe you don't typically eat, but you're making an exception for the holidays. So what are things we can do when we do cheat a little bit? We want to chew thoroughly and eat slowly. You want to include herbs that kind of calm the belly, like ginger, mint, peppermint, fennel, cinnamon. I highly recommend trying teas. Keep some peppermint tea around. Keep some ginger tea around. I have a lovely green tea with ginger and probiotics that I almost drink almost daily. I love it. So keep some tea around. That really helps digestive support. Try taking a 5 to 10 minute walk after large meals to aid digestion. Okay, we want to get moving here if possible. Eat plenty of fiber, which you're going to get most of that from your fruits and veggies. If you need to add in a supplement, that's totally up to you. But make sure you're getting plenty of fiber. We want to limit processed foods. I mentioned earlier about avoiding things like aspartame, or partially hydrogenated soybean oil. What happens is, for example, partially anything that's hydrogenated oils, we got to read food labels, but the best food doesn't have a label. But what they do is they take the fat into a lab and they add an extra hydrogen atom to the molecule to keep it solid at room temperature. So it's basically synthetic Crisco or lard. And our body doesn't really know what to do with that stuff, and it stays in our arteries. So let's limit processed food as much as possible. And then if you could include fermented and probiotic rich foods like kefir, yogurt, and sauerkraut, that is a wonderful thing. I feel like modern society has kind of pushed down the fermented foods because we've got more refrigeration And, fast foods and things we can just grab at the grocery store. And back in the day, fermentation was a part of keeping things healthy. And that's where probiotics and good bacteria grow in fermented foods, and they really support a healthy gut. So, and they do make lots of yogurts and kefirs that are dairy free if you prefer that as well. I love one of my favorite plates is I'll take some sauerkraut and saute it with a little sausage, and the healthy kind, the non-processed, no nitrates added. Um, and then some roasted potatoes with the olive oil, just like I told earlier, salt, pepper, that's it. And then the other half of the plate is green beans, but then I still have a little bit of extra vegetables mixed in, the fermented sauerkraut with my sausage, with my protein. So um, just try to get some sauerkraut or any kind of fermented vegetable in when you can. Other helpful tips: get plenty of sleep, 8 to 10 hours for most. It's so important. Get into a good routine. The best, listen to your body's biorhythms, but ideally 10 to 6, 7, that kind of time period. Move more. If you don't have an exercise routine, make sure you're cleared with your doctor and start walking. Or if walking isn't an option, um, or if a gym's not an option, there's plenty of free things. YouTube is a go-to. Yoga with Adriene is one that I use. She has chair yoga and so many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of yoga videos that are free. I even have I've worked with some youth in the past. There's a group called Jig Aerobics. They dance. I don't know if you know them, Reggie, but you should look them up. They're amazing. My body would break if I moved like them, but they have recently started doing some chair dance fitness, which is awesome and it's adorable. So there's so much out there that is free and accessible. Move more. Move more. It will also help with the seasonal disorder of like with the rain and the clouds and the things if you live in an area like that. So make sure you are moving as much as possible. You're hearing it again, stay hydrated. And minimize stress levels as much as possible. Now, I know that's like, haha, right? Like I can do what I can, but I can't control outside factors. And that's true. But what we can do is really focus on our window of tolerance. And if we try to stay grounded and we do things like recognize our triggers, recognize the things that stress us, and uh, have tools in your pocket like breath work practice, your movement, meditation, things that you can use for your 5 senses are really important for staying grounded and helping with your window of tolerance whenever you're extra stressed. This could include, for smell, maybe it's your favorite essential oil you put on your wrists. For sight, maybe you wear your favorite color that just makes you feel calm. For taste, maybe you keep some peppermints or something that you can chew on in your pocket when you're feeling a little bit anxious. For sound, maybe you have your favorite playlist, okay, or something that that you can listen to that will soothe you. So make sure, did I hit them all? Taste, touch. I didn't say touch on. Keep maybe your favorite stone in your pocket that you like to just palm, or maybe you have a stress ball. Just keep some things related to your senses, have some tools like breath work or meditation, because we know that the holidays can be a joyful time, but for some they're a stressful time. So don't beat yourself up if it is a stressful time, and just make sure that you have tools that you need to help you stay grounded through this time. And we're going to end the session today with just a short little breath work practice if you don't have one that you can take with you. Okay, so we're going to jump into the recipes and then we'll finish up with breath work and open it up for questions. So these are the recipes I have, and I'm actually going to stop sharing this and pull up the actual recipes to go over with you in just a second. But we've got a broccoli grape salad with sliced almonds, roasted sweet potatoes with maple syrup and honey, sheet pan easy roasted veggies, a healthy 7-layer salad with homemade ranch, a dessert yogurt parfait, a pumpkin smoothie, some mocktail recipes, and some healthy pie ideas that you can swap out certain ingredients for. So the pie part doesn't have the full recipe. It just has some swaps for the traditional recipes. So bear with me just a second. I'm going to stop the share and switch screens. All right. Can everybody see?
Not yet. Oh, now it's getting there. Yep.
It's taking a little time to load.
Yep. I think we've got it. It's like presenting like it would on your desktop.
Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
have, there's so much of
No,
it. I couldn't really fit it on a
no,
slide.
that's okay. That's all right.
So for the healthy holiday recipes, like, okay, so Holly, this broccoli grape salad is one of my favorites. I bring it usually every year. Everyone loves it. There's no cooking involved here.
It
You
sounds
take the,
delicious.
it really is. The texture and everything works really well together. I like to dice my florets up really fine. So all I do is wash and dice the broccoli florets. I get seedless grapes. I usually like to quarter mine. I'm telling you, texture is really important. You can buy already toasted sliced almonds, or if you are comfortable with doing a little cooking, you can I use Natural Grocers. I don't know if everyone has those, but you can get sliced almonds really cheap, and then you can just literally just toast them for a few minutes under the broiler. So your call. And then you take a little bit of a red onion and you find that you chop that really finely. That is important to chop it fine. You don't want a big bite of that when you're doing this. And then you just mix those ingredients together, just toss them together in a salad bowl. And for your dressing, you get a half a cup of either Greek yogurt or olive oil mayo, a tablespoon of honey, and a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Stir it together, pour it over, and then just salt and pepper to taste. That is it. It is so tasty. I love it. And then getting an actual good serving of fruit and vegetables and nuts and all the things that you need. So that's one of my favorite. So I know sweet potatoes typically are a popular holiday dish. This one is really easy. You just peel cube, rinse them really well, toss them in a little bit of olive oil, maple and honey. And you don't have to use both maple and honey. It's your choice. And then a little pinch of cinnamon and sea salt. Put them on a sheet pan, roast them at 400 degrees, turning them about halfway through until they're nice, golden and crispy. Pretty
I have
much
a
the
quick,
same. Oh yeah.
no, I was just going to say, I'm wondering, I'm not familiar with air fryer, but I know they're popular, and Holly mentioned this. I'm imagining that those sweet potatoes could be done, it maybe a smaller batch, but done in an air fryer.
Yes. So just make sure. So Holly, I'm not sure. I haven't had an air fryer in a couple years. Do they have them where they don't leak through? Is there any way you can? I'm just as long as the maple syrup or honey won't like leak down into the.
Yeah, I don't use it a whole often, but it was given to me by a former client. And what I do is I've just been literally like today I made there was bagels, so I took and I just put because of the all the stuff, even though bagels don't have anything, I just put a small layer of aluminum foil at the bottom.
Oh,
That's just what I do. So I just
perfect.
whatever I'm making, I just put on top of that, and then it's not really it's not a cleanup issue for whatever I end up heating up in there or baking in there or whatever. So yeah.
You could absolutely use this with that. Then I would just maybe cut the recipe in half so that you'd have room, and that would go for the next
Yeah.
recipe as well. Mhm.
And I'll also say too, at least in mine, don't put the aluminum foil while it's in the preheat stage because all it does is float it to the top and it like tries to get stuck in the top. So don't put the aluminum foil until after it's preheated and you put all the stuff in. Just know
Thank
that.
you.
Expert tip, Holly. Thank you.
Yes.
And I actually like the air fryer, but my husband dropped one in a move and I never bought
Oh
another.
no. Oh no.
So I never bought another one. And so the same thing goes with the easy roasted veggie tray then, Holly. You could use that the same way in your air fryer. Maybe just reduce the amount of veggies to smaller batches, or you could cook them in batches even. But this is just dicing the veggies, tossing with olive oil, salt, pepper, and garlic powder, or any other herbs you like, and roasting them. I mean, it's just simple and flavorful. I like to get a little bit of brown, crispy edges around them, and it just really helps the flavor.
Yeah,
I'm
I
getting
also,
really inspired. Oh, sorry, Holly, go ahead.
no, sorry, it just reminded me. I have to limit some of it because of neck and back issue pain, but at one point I was even figured out how to do a grilled cheese really, really well in an air fryer. So
Oh,
we were
wow.
making like grilled cheese, and you can look up the recipe online. And actually, they do have YouTube things that show you how to do all that stuff. And so for a while last year, we were even doing like little grilled cheeses with tomato soup, and it was lovely. It was like that comfort food kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Well, then, Holly,
Yes.
now you're going to have me thinking about like coming up with like some really good air fryer recipes that, the people that need that. And two, what if you have someone that like is on the go and that's all they have access to or something, that.
right, exactly. Because when you just have yourself, or you have your another person 50% of the time, it doesn't really pay to well, like I said, I can't cook anyway because of my TBI issues, but it's a lot to constantly run an oven for just two people. So there's like little shortcuts to try to find and make it quicker, easier, that kind of stuff, more cost effective.
It is. I don't know if this is a little silly. Do you know those countertop tea kettles with the water that you can boil? I
Yes.
I ended up staying in an Airbnb one time and thought that there was a little, at least a little stovetop, and just bought a small amount of food, and I bought eggs thinking, okay, if I could just boil a few eggs and have these things. There was no stove. So I was like,
Right.
I have this whole dozen eggs. What am I going to do? I took the kettle and I put the eggs in there and just a few at a time. And I boiled eggs in the tea kettle and I made it work, just so you know.
See, resourceful. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Jessica.
You're
I
always
wanted
right.
to, that's awesome. I wanted to say that when you mentioned that even a person could roast vegetables separately in smaller batches in the air fryer, it made me think of something that I used to do when my daughter was in high school, and I called it component cooking.
Mhm.
So, and I'm just going to share it, not that it's revolutionary, but I would do roasted mushrooms, roasted sweet potatoes, roasted cauliflower, all separate. And then I could either throw them on top of pasta, I could throw them in a salad, I could toss them all together with a different seasoning so that I was able to have a bunch of stuff prepped. And I'm thinking like pre-cut even, like you could buy pre-cut, well, a lot of those vegetables just to simplify the energy it takes to cut and chop, or
Mhm.
the stamina or whatever. So anyway, I'm getting like all inspired by this because it helps for food prep too. So you can have healthy options available and then kind of recreate with them so that it feels a little more creative and a little more varied.
Absolutely. And don't forget frozen veggies too. I mean, because they're like you said, they're prepped, they're already cut, and they're actually better than canned. And sometimes even better than the fresh, depending on how long that fresh has been there, because the ones that are frozen right after they're picked and they keep retaining their nutrients. So don't be afraid to get some frozen veggies as well, and they're a little bit more cost effective. So yeah, the roasted veggie, you could even do the little foil packets, Holly, too, in the air fryer. Yeah, you could take some of these veggies and toss them with oil and put a piece of chicken in there in a packet and just put it in the air fryer, and just open it up and you got your meal.
Thank you for that, because it never even occurred to me. Thank you for that. It's a great idea.
You're welcome. So my next favorite little veggie holiday recipe, and I do bring this one often, is your healthy 7-layer salad with yogurt dressing. It's really pretty if you get a glass bowl, and all you do is layer the following, and you can mix up any of these ingredients, truthfully. These are very flexible recipes. So, you've got your mixed greens, then you do your tomatoes, your cucumbers, your sweet peas, your carrots, do your boiled eggs, dice them and put them on top, finish it off with a little shredded cheese. You don't have to use the cheese. If you wanted to include things like, you could do a layer of green onions, might do a little mushroom bacon if you wanted to be extra healthy and not do real bacon, but be flexible. And then for your dressing, you can use, I actually use the forager sour cream because it's my favorite. It maintains flavor, and it's made with cashew and coconut milk instead, but you can use Greek yogurt. And then you just mix a little bit of olive oil, lemon juice, dill, garlic, and pepper. And that's a wonderful dressing. If you don't want to use any of the seasonings and you want to make it extra simple, you can get those little organic ranch seasoning packets and just add it to the Greek yogurt, olive oil, and lemon juice. And then you just put that on top right before serving, and that is a really tasty salad to add to your not. And you can make that a whole meal, honestly, especially if you include like some proteins, which the eggs are proteins. So your dessert yogurt parfait, you just take your yogurt, non-dairy or Greek. You do a half cup of mixed berries and granola, frozen or fresh, your granola, and then you just alternate those layers. There's a little honey or syrup, maple syrup on top. You're good to go. Kids really like it. It's really visually appealing, and that's half the thing with food. You know, it's visually appealing is very important.
My son and I did that. We actually just stopped doing ice cream and just started doing the yogurts, like that recipe you just did. They are the exact same one. So
Oh,
yeah,
I
it's
love that.
lovely. It's wonderful.
I love that. I love that. And then, if you wanted to be a little kind of extra cheaty and it's the holidays, you could saute some apples with a little bit of butter and maple and cinnamon. And then you could alternate the yogurt and the apple and then the granola and then make it kind of like a pie a la mode. So you play with it. Play with it.
That sounds great too.
Yeah. And we have an apple tree in our backyard. It was loaded and we didn't know what to do with them. I was definitely chopping them and like seasoning them and cooking them and eating them. So a pumpkin smoothie, this is kind of new. I came across it. I write some staff wellness newsletters for another company, and I've included this one, and people love it. It's just you take a half a cup of pumpkin puree and a frozen banana with a little unsweetened almond milk or oat milk, and then just a little bit of cinnamon nutmeg. And if you wanted a little extra sweet, you can add some maple syrup or honey and blend it, and it's really tasty. It's very, although it's cold, it's so wintry feeling. If you like a good smoothie. And sometimes you just don't have time to eat and time to fix anything. Just pop in that smoothie, and you get plenty of fiber from that as well. Some mocktail recipe ideas. I do, so sparkling water. Topo Chico is my favorite just because it's so fizzy. It's so fizzy. And as you mix things, it can lose some of its fizz, but with Topo Chico, you pretty much maintain it. You could do sparkling water with a little orange juice and lime and mint. You could do a berry spritz. You could muddle some raspberries, and if you don't have a mortar and pestle, you could just put them on a plate and mash them with a fork. Add it to your sparkling water with a little splash of cranberry and garnish with a lime. Cucumber cooler, just mix sliced cucumbers and mint leaves with lime juice, put it in sparkling water. And then if you really want that kind of holiday mocktail taste, you can do a little apple cider with sparkling water, just a little bit of fresh grated ginger, and garnish with a cinnamon stick. It's really tasty. And then for the pie ideas, I did, again, I didn't put the recipes, but just gave some substitution suggestions. So if you wanted a pumpkin pie instead of sweetened condensed milk, you could substitute a little yogurt maple syrup instead. Put those together, you get your little sweet, creamy ingredient that's not processed like sweetened condensed milk. For an apple crumble pie, instead of putting extra crust on top, you could do rolled oats mixed with nuts and a little honey and cinnamon. Just toss it all together and throw it on top of the pie. It bakes up nice and crisp. For wanting to do like a berry almond tart, use almond flour crust instead of the traditional. And you can also use yogurt for a filling instead of cream cheese. And if you like your no-bake chocolate pie, you can do the center can be a little bit of avocado and coconut cream blended with honey and cocoa powder. It's really yummy, little coconut filling, chocolate filling. And then you could top it off if you wanted a little bit of whipped cream or something. You could get a little bit because you've got that healthy inside. So those are just some ideas to mix up your pies and make them a little more healthy, and your drinks, along with some recipes. And that is pretty much all that I have today. But I am definitely opening up to any kinds of questions or anything else I can answer for you today.
Excellent. Let me just pause the recording and we'll just open it up to questions. This is really lovely. I'm feeling all inspired. So bear with me for just a minute and let me turn that off.